Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, Youth Day has come and gone, but the challenges young people are facing remain. For one, unemployment is more than over 60% of those aged 15 to 24. They are without jobs in the first quarter of this year, and about 42% of those are aged between 25 and 34 years old. The figures continue to shock us, but for many, this is their daily reality. To elaborate more on the hardships the youth face, I'm joined by community leader Keabetswe Malebo. He joins me now in studio. Thank you so much for coming all the way from Soweto to speak to us. We do appreciate it.
Thanks for the invite.
Sure. Let's just start off with, you're a young person.
Sure.
I do believe that you're an independent candidate. Many
Yeah.
would say, why would you even enter that space? But there are many challenges that the youth face. And as a young person, just having celebrated Youth Day, do you think that there's anything to celebrate?
Good evening to the viewers. Good evening, Heidi. There is a lot to celebrate. With that being said, you know, we are so fortunate that, you know, we live in a country whereby we are so diverse. You know, we've got a diverse culture. But it's so unfortunate, like the circumstances within our communities are pulling us back, that we find it so hard to actually celebrate Youth Day because of the lack of opportunities within our communities. So we find ourselves actually not being so fond of Youth Day because of the lack of opportunities within our society. So yeah, with that being said, I think the issues around our communities are very alarming.
Maybe speak to us about that. Speak to us about the circumstances, because I do know that during that discussion that was had with Professor JJ Tabane, you spoke about something that I think touched many, and a reality that people forget about, where you said that our schools, the future of the youth needs to be lit. And JJ said, what do you mean lit? And you said, there's no electricity in our schools. Children are being taught in the dark, which is shocking that this is happening in 2022. Tell us about those circumstances.
In our community, we've got 19 underdeveloped schools within our community. We've got 4 high schools.
This is in Pimville?
This is in Pimville, Soweto, Pimville, Keabetswe as a whole. We have lack of facilities within our society. We've been introduced to the 4th industrial revolution within our community. But how are we introduced to the 4th industrial revolution, whereby there's lack of electricity within our communities? Kids are learning through smart boards, but the smart boards are not working because there's no electricity within our communities. So that's alarming, Heidi, within our society, because within our communities, you find that kids within the neighboring communities don't have electricity. And with the conversation that we had with Mr. Tabane, that we have kids that are so vulnerable to dangers of society because they find themselves not sleeping at home, sleeping where they shouldn't be sleeping because of they don't have electricity, because it's so difficult to study using a candle. So, you know, they are vulnerable to selling themselves for, you know, just that basic need, which is electricity. You know, not sleeping at home, sleeping at a boyfriend's house. And these are the issues that I face as a community leader, as a young leader, that young kids come to me and say, can we please get help in terms of giving us electricity within society, because we can't study, we can't cross-night. So you can see the disadvantages within our community. You can see the disadvantages within schools. You know, the government introduced smart boards, but the smart boards are not working. So those are the disadvantages that we have within society. And, you know, and it's so alarming that our government is not doing anything about it.
Speaking of government, I mean, we mentioned in the introduction that youth unemployment is over 60%. That is a staggering figure, and it seems as though it's getting worse. So the majority of youth are sitting at home, basically. A lot of them have given up. A lot of people don't think that they would ever get a job because of the current economic situation that we're in. your realities, engaging with communities. It's not just the older people or the younger people in school. I'm sure you engage with people from age 25 older. What are their issues? What are they telling you? Even yourself as a young person, understanding that the unemployment rate is over 60%. It's alarming. It's concerning.
Sure. I always advocate for recreational facilities within the community. I always tell the community that my vision is for my community is really based on recreational facilities. We've got 5 basketball courts within our community. We've got a tennis court. We've got an Olympic-sized swimming pool. We've got sporting facilities, soccer. But unfortunately, because they are underdeveloped, we find ourselves looking for jobs in corporate, whereas when I was growing up, I used to find a home in soccer. So it's so sad that because we have underdeveloped sporting facilities within our communities.
So when you say, sorry to interject,
Sure.
when you say underdeveloped, are they not being utilized? Are they not being looked after, or what's the situation?
They're not being looked after. The other day on Mr. Tabane's show, I spoke to the MEC and I said, there's lack of pollution services within our communities. There's no taps at all. There's no irrigation systems within our communities, yet it's a sporting facility. If we make sure that our communities are green, our sporting facilities are green, then we know that opportunities will arise. You look at brands that come into the community. You look at the north and you look at the south. You look at sporting facilities in the north. You've got brands that are investing because of proper sporting facilities that have been taken care of. You've got in Dobsonville, we've got a sporting facility that is managed by a white person and it's green. And CTM is a major sponsor within that community. And those are the kind of things that we are crying for within our community, that maintain our sporting facilities so that brands can invest in our community. Because brands can't invest in a sporting facility that is underdeveloped. We've got, a big brand like Nike that is willing to actually spend billions to develop a sporting facility. However, the government is not willing to play their part. How do you, as government, let 19 schools be underdeveloped within our community, just in Pimville Klipspruit as a whole? So we are suffering as a community because then we are suppressed in terms of lack of opportunities. Because to tell you the honest truth, money is in private sectors. But how are private sectors supposed to invest within our communities if our government are not, if our government is not doing something simple as developing our sporting facilities, putting in irrigation systems, putting in taps, making sure that sporting facilities are secured, So those are the issues that we find ourselves being disadvantaged within our community.
Yeah. I want us to speak about the role that government should be playing in these communities and uplifting them, because, if somebody would be listening to you and say, okay, it's just sporting facilities, they play a huge role, because if people are unemployed, they could invest their energy into these sporting facilities and not hover around the risk of, getting involved in criminal activities, drugs, etc. So I do hope your engagement with the MEC will be a fruitful one, because these facilities really do play a key role in these areas and communities. I want us to speak about governments and what government should be doing, because many are saying that government, they don't provide opportunities for young people. If you look at cabinet's structure, it's a lot of I don't want to call people old, but a lot of experienced people. And the youth are crying out for these opportunities. Do you think government should be giving the youth these opportunities? Do you think government needs to be creating these jobs, despite the fact that the president said in his State of the Nation address, it's not government's role to create jobs, it's government's role to create a conducive environment. But in your view, should government be creating these jobs for the youth?
Listen, we can't write off experience. Experience matters within society. However, opportunities need to be opened up for society, opened up for young people. Let me give you an example, for instance. In my community, there's something that I'm planning which is having a website for my community, which is an information hub whereby we can channel everything within the community in that website. So when you want property within our communities, because we've got reses within our communities, we've got schools within our communities, we've got sporting facilities within our communities. So for young people, those are the kind of channels that we need, because of, as I mentioned, we're in the 4th industrial revolution. So traditional ways of doing things really do not matter. We need to help the youth in terms of accommodating them with what matters to them. I was having a conversation with Angelic, which is a piano artist, and I was saying, it's so sad that we as rather South Africa instead of Soweto, because that's a big question mark in terms of who started piano. But Soweto, how about we have government implementing studios within our society? Because those are the kind of facilities that young people need within our society. We're not saying that we should write off experience. Experience does matter. However, experience needs to open up the market for young people so that young people can thrive within society. How about we have libraries that are 24 hours so that, seeing that we have electricity crisis within our society, young people can go to libraries that are 24 hours. Young people can, utilize libraries that have computers. The sad reality is that we've got libraries, but they don't have computers. But we're in the 4th industrial revolution. Let us open up opportunities for young people together with experience, because the topic at hand is that, or rather the matter at hand is that young people are saying old people should go. And yes, old people should go. However, experience does matter, because like I say, they say, so we need to take both
ages
age
groups,
and merge them together for us to build a better society, because you find young people getting lost when they get to that level of opportunities whereby we need old people to help us being groomed. At the same time, young people need to teach old people how to do things. So for me, I honestly think for us to build a better society, we need to come together, and we shouldn't have gatekeepers, because the problem at hand is that old people are the gatekeepers of everything. So that's why you find young people being relentless in terms of the situations that are happening within our communities.
I want to, perhaps this could be a closing question to you.
Sure.
Do you think there is hope for young people? I mean, I look at these statistics quarterly and I wonder, and you hear remarks by the president, for example, where he says it's not government's role to create jobs, it's government's role to create a conducive environment, yet you have for example, former President Nelson Mandela, who said that the youth are the future, and it seems as though the future might not be really considered in this instance. Do you think there is hope, and do you think that things could possibly get better?
Honestly, in terms of
Try to be a little positive.
Okay, in terms of hope, I honestly feel that there is hope for young people if we are given opportunities within society. However, the future is very vivid, to tell you the honest truth, because I will always revert back to lack of opportunities within society. The opportunities that need to be created, like you look at like anything that's related to low skilled jobs, like whether it's being construction, whether being it's art. We need to make sure that young people get those kind of opportunities so that they can thrive. Hence, I'm saying that if the government can implement studios within the community so that young people can continue to thrive in music. We've built Amapiano, but unfortunately, the genre itself is struggling because of lack of opportunities, because of, you look at studio time, it's very difficult for them to get studio time. Within our schools, you look at, we don't even have computer labs within our society, within our high schools, within our communities. So that's why I'm saying that there's really lack of opportunities within society. And the government needs to make sure that in everything that they do, they invest a lot in young people, because you can't really say that it's the government's job to actually not come up with ideas for society, or rather what the president said. However, it's the government's job to make sure that proper basic needs are being met in society. When we talk about basic needs, we're talking about proper education. Make sure that an average young person in the north and in the south are in the same stance. Because you look at MEC Hlope, for example. I'm not attacking her. She comes from a good school. She's a Pactonian. However, she can't even implement the facilities that she took from Parktown girls right into society. So who is wrong at that end? Is it the MEC, or is it what the system has created? Because if it's young people that are coming into power that are supposed to thrive, then why isn't she black in a society? Which means that basically it's what she's been conditioned to, how she's conditioned to think, how she's conditioned to actually action certain things within society. Because for me, it's still a big question mark that you are an MEC in sports and arts. However, you can't even implement a simple thing that putting in ablution services, irrigation systems within the community, whereby Pimville Klipspruit as a whole is actually a community that grew through sports. You know, you can name them all. We've got your Gifted Remes, you've got your Mandla Ends, you've got, you know, your Penny Libiane, you've got your Azania. So if we had to actually plow back in our communities, then our communities can thrive through sports and arts.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your insights. I can see you're very passionate, and hopefully somebody out there, the right people out there, are watching and listening. Thank you so much for coming through and speaking to us. That was community leader Keabetswe Malebo, just speaking to us about how Youth Month is coming to an end, but it seems as though the problems remain. We'll definitely be exploring a lot of those issues throughout.